daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time!
All season long and even in the off season, it's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Roundball Rock 2.0 bringing us back. It's a Jazz game day here on the KSL Sports Zone.
Are we as excited as we will be next year?
Oh, no. No. Look, I'm trying to create something here, but let's be honest. Can't wait until next October. Can't wait for next October.
Honestly, the offseason, I like offseason drama.
Oh, the NBA offseason is great.
Yeah, I mean, because one, that's what I really watch intently is the NBA playoffs. I really love the NBA
playoffs will be great.
So the playoffs are great all the way from April through June in the finals, and then you have the lottery, and then you have the draft picks, which is way more important nowadays than it used to be. Or Utah's paying more attention to the lottery and draft more than they used to, and then just a free agency right after that. It's just a great transition of NBA drama there at the end of June. So looking for off-season movement in the NBA is great.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to there, and there's a lot of storylines that'll develop here at the end of the season before the playoffs come along as well. Jazz hosting the Rockets. Actually, the Jazz are on the road tonight. Jazz in Houston taking on the Rockets. The game, it's going to be on Peacock. Jake Scott's going to be doing pre- and post-game duties and halftime, as he always does. Really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm trying. Of course, you can hear Jake in bed at 10 a.m. the tune. You know who this guy is. Jake Scott joins us right now. Jake, how you been, man?
Oh, I have a fractured humerus and had to sit and watch my family have fun on a Disney cruise. But other than that, I'm in a great mood. I'm on a radio show with a former Steeler and a dang TV celebrity. I'm doing great.
Look, I'm going to let you vent for a little bit. That sucks, man. What happened?
Oh, yeah. I banked myself off the ski hill, and the armchair doctors on my Lloyd and Christian think I also tore my labrum, but I got to get an MRI, but I at least have a fracture in my humerus.
It sounds like actually a cool war story. At least you'll be able to tell some guys. You've been through
it. It was so dumb. It was on like a green run, and I just cried. I'd love to tell you like I was doing something gnarly, like dropping cliffs or something, but it was so stupid. And I'm in my mid-40s now, and I just I haven't felt old before, and now I just feel old.
You can't go full Lindsey Vonn in your mid-40s, man.
Oh no, dude. Well, listen, Lindsay. I heard she had successful surgery today, which is great. But man, I can't imagine tearing your ACL and then thinking, I'm still going to do this, and then getting an additional injury is crazy.
Her leg basically exploded. It's awful. But but I'm sorry, Jake. That sucks. Yeah, sorry that vacation wasn't the vacation of your dreams. But glad to have you back here and talking about the Jazz. And while the Jazz, we know what the next 25 games are, but there's still a lot of great storylines involving this team moving forward. Mm-hmm. Plus the excitement of what's coming up this fall. You've been very vocal about this whole situation with how the Jazz were treated by the league with tanking. Isn't it funny? Like all of a sudden, like where's all the fines for everybody else doing this? How do you feel about the way that was all handled and played out? Because it just feels awful to me the way that the Jazz were singled out in this situation.
Listen, what happened to the Jazz? God, where to start? I said this on my show today. Listen, nobody likes the Jazz. Like, Sly, you're from Vegas and a Lakers guy. I mean, none of the NBA community likes the Jazz, so they're easy to pick on. And when, let me put it this way. Tanking has been a problem for a long time. Oh, yeah. And Adam Silver saying that this year is worse than other years is simply not true. Yeah. It's simply not true. And so you go like, well, why is everybody freaking out now? And it's really just about the noise. And Adam Silver, by finding the Jazz and reacting the way that he has reacted, honestly just made it worse, right? Mm-hmm. Because for years all they've done is turn their back and go, this tanking? What are you talking about? Before the Jazz got fined, not this year, but last year, the team before that who had been fined for tanking, the only team was the Dallas Mavericks, and that was like 3 years ago, and the only reason they got fined is because Jason Kidd publicly acknowledged that he did it. And so now we get to the point where, the Jazz, like, a third of the league, are doing things not to win basketball games, and they get singled out and fined, and honestly fined, the first time for that stupid arbitrary rule about playing your all-star on the road or whatever the dumb crap they made up is for that. And then the second time they said it was conduct detrimental to the league, which is ludicrous and sets a horrible precedent, but they're not smart enough to realize that. But I'll tell you this, guys, here's my hot take prediction, is that I think the fines are over, and I think that's what the news leaking out from the GM's meeting was all about. I laughed with Ben, like, they do this GM meeting every year. How much news has ever leaked out of there?
Right.
Never.
Yeah, so that was definitely
Story about why would that story about what they're going to do about tanking leak? And the answer is so they can point at it and go, oh, look, we're doing something. And so they can get out of this current predicament they're in, because other teams are tanking just as egregiously as the Jazz. And what's Adam Silver going to do? Go over Will Hardy's rotations every freaking night? That's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
And so I think they leaked that news out, so they're going to stop the fining, and then they'll come up with some stupid solution that won't work, and they'll point at that for a couple of years and say, see, we did something, like when they flattened the lottery odds, and none of it is going to work.
Yeah,
so
I think though the way you fix it is you'd have to change a lot of structural things that you have in place.
And it's not going to work.
Like the lottery and all kinds of stuff of how people get drafted. It's not because the Wizards have been doing it, the Hawks have been doing it, the Grizzlies have done it in times. I think the
best
Jazz,
teams in the league have tanked.
I think exactly right. I think the Pistons. I think the Jazz's problem is that it's just been year after year of the same thing.
Well, it was doing it in the game, and they ticked off the gambling companies who were partners with the league.
And you can't do that. Don't
Clearly you're not. You'll get fined.
Don't mess with Vegas money. I'm telling you right now. Don't mess with Vegas money. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it as things that need to happen. People need to say like, oh, I'm disciplining them, slap them hand. So if you could go into depth about kind of, the loss to the Grizzlies, what was that like? And please explain to like us who don't truly understand how critical that was.
They've got to listen. They can only afford to win like four more games all year. Yeah. Like in order to keep that pick and become, secure in keeping that pick, they can only accidentally win like 3 or 4 games. Like it's pretty wild. And as far as Memphis games go, and Sly, you can tell me more about locker room culture and that sort of thing, but it's almost like the team knows that they need to lose, and then because in the first half the Jazz looked great, and they were making they made an abnormal amount of shots, but they were playing really, really well. They were up 12 at the half, I believe, and then the second half was like a different team. It was like they were playing in mud. And so I just wonder, how much of it is really psychological, because I do think it's unfair to ask players to lose intentionally. I think most of us could agree. You can mess with the lineups and do all that stuff, and it's still super gray area in my opinion. But I mean, I don't think it's fair to ask I'm not even going to name somebody, somebody on the team to go out there and intentionally lose. But I wonder if it's just psychological and it gets in there, because it just seemed like they lost all their juice. Because it's not like Memphis was playing anybody. They had, I think, 9 players on the injury list or something just absolutely silly. Right. So, I'll tell you this, you'll hear a lot of hot take people saying, like, well, what can we take for the last 20 whatever games? And the answer truly is nothing. I guess it's not absolutely nothing, but, I mean, it's almost phony the way that it's set up for what they have to do.
Well, yeah, I don't think that the team is sitting there telling the players like, yo, lose, but I think everybody gets it. Everybody understands it. And the problem that a lot of players have is one, you got to take care of yourself, right? You're not really trusting these teams, right? You're trusting these teams to do the right by you. And like, so a lot of guys is like, okay, I still have to increase my value in case I'm not on this team. Yeah, this team is doing something for this team, but what if I'm not a part of that plan, right? What if I'm what if I'm the 8-9 man rotation? So that's what you're getting from a lot of these guys. I think that's what happened with the Miami game a couple weeks ago. You got Bryce Sensabaugh is like, look, I'm from Florida, man. I'm about to go off, right? This is what I do. And so you got guys who can still play ball and understand what the business side of the team is trying to do, but also you got to take care of yourself at the end of the day, right? Because I don't think Danny Ainge or this team or Hardy's telling you guys like, yo, we need to lose. But I do think that they are in positions where they're not helping themselves at the end of the day. And of course, you see them play outstanding in one half of football, one half of basketball, and then come out and be absolute crap in the second half. And so I think that is the issue that a lot of players have is like, how do because I don't know exactly what they're going to do business-wise. How do I take care of myself versus do what's right by the team and saying like, hey, I'm towing the line, I'm putting in my groundwork, can you keep me around? And at the end of the day, the business is the business.
Which I think I'm so glad you highlighted that, because I think a lot of times that fans don't understand that exactly, because fans think so lovingly about their team.
Yes.
They imagine the players feel the same way. And it's just, no, the players are having a job and competing for a career and doing all those things. I mean, I'm sure you love, the Steelers and your time there, Sly, but what you're talking about is like, you got to take advantage of every opportunity, because they're going to cut you or trade you or move on from you the moment it's advantageous for them. And it's cold. Like, it's a cold way to treat people, but it's a reality. And I think a lot of fans don't necessarily get that 100% of the time. So I'm glad you laid that out.
With that said, we look at some of these younger players on the roster, Jake, and how many of these guys are going to be a part of the rotation next year? I think there's a lot of questions to answer there. What are you seeing from Isaiah Collier and Kyle Filipowski and others, and Bryce Sensabaugh? What are you learning about these guys over these next 25 games that'll help the Jazz and those players answer that question?
Well, the pressure is off some of those guys in a weird way. They're like Cody Williams, honestly, I am still a believer. I'm still on the Cody, a believer. I don't know if I believe he'll be an all-star, but he has the body potential if he fills out a little bit. He's got what am I looking for here? Like the measurements and the athleticism, and he's got all that stuff that you really can't coach, and that still exists. And if his skill development could take a big incline at some point, like, you can see the potential, and I really like it that he guards. But he's got a long way to go, right? Collier, I think, is really close to being an NBA rotation guy. And if you're talking about, can he be a backup point guard in the league on a good team? I certainly think so. But unless his 3-point percentage gets up north of, like, not even, he doesn't even have to get up into the high 30s, just into like 35, serviceable, where you can't go under every screen. Maybe he's capable of a little bit more than that. I think a guy like Bryce Sensabaugh is a little bit more on the, is he really a rotation guy just because he's got a guard, and he's been kind of sent that signal a bunch, and I some nights it's there and some nights it's not. And then, Kyle Filipowski, I would say we haven't seen him play the position Will wants him to play this year. I mean, he's with Nurk's nose injury, the Bosnian beak taking him down for the rest of the season. He's the center now, and I don't think that's the position they want him to play. Right. Now, I don't know if he can play the position that they want him to play, specifically defensively, but can he be, a rotation 15 to 20 minute guy that is a change of pace on the bench? What kind of role do these guys fit into? I don't think it's an easy question to answer, but I think there's a ton of potential. I mean, I really do. Especially, I don't know why I'm so bullish on Cody Williams, and maybe I'll look foolish, but I still see all those things that you can't teach that are still there,
A humorous injury isn't going to keep Jake Scott out of the lineup tonight. Jake's playing hurt, but he's playing hard. You can hear him on the Jazz pre-half and post-game show tonight, as always. And, of course, you always hear him on Jake and Ben from 10 to noon right here on the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Great conversation. You're the best.
Yeah, you guys are so great. Appreciate you.
All right, Jake Scott, you're going to hear him tonight.